Hello everybody, hope you all have been having a wonderful holiday season so far. Now as we begin to close out the year 2021 and head into the future, I have a lot of really exciting things planned for the Turbo Makes Games YouTube channel when it comes to video topics and tutorials. Now one specific topic that I want to dive more deeply into is state machines in Unity ECS. Now, recently I participated in a game jam for the Team C's C Jam. It was a game that I created about cleaning up trash off the beach, which I called Trash Empire. And in that, I created actually my first state machine using Unity's entity component system. Now, I had a pretty good experience with it, as this was my first basically data-oriented state machine that I created. And I think there were a lot of kind of interesting things that I could do with, how everything is already set up in Unity's entity component system. So for today's video, I'm actually posting a clip from an interview that I did with my friend Ruben, aka the Game Dev Guru, where we talked a little bit about the state machine that I created for this game project. So I kind of want this video to be sort of like an introduction into, getting ourselves into the mindset of creating state machines in Unity's entity component system. And then as we head into the new year, then I can start to, expand on these ideas a little bit more and give you guys some more concrete tutorials. So I'd really just love to hear from you all, what types of things would you like to see implemented in a state machine? Do you have any tips or suggestions or things that you'd like to see me try out? Really interested in hearing that all from you. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and play the clip now. By the way, if you do want to watch the full interview, it's about an hour and a half long. I have that linked in the description below. So maybe if you have some extra downtime during the holiday season, or if you're going to be traveling, feel free to check out the full length video. It's a good talk overall. And we talked about some interesting topics such as using DOS to develop on a Chromebook or VR devices. We kind of just talk about, data-oriented design in general and just some other cool topics along the way. So anyways, feel free to check that out if you'd like, but I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip now. Yeah, I think the kind of other thing that I wanted to bring up a little bit was kind of like the state machine. So I ended up making kind of like a state machine with Unity ECS. Again, this is kind of my first stab at doing something like this. So definitely learned a lot about, kind of how we can kind of set things up. So yeah, this is kind of the sort of like the initial state, which is the unit select. I call it the unit select state system. And this is basically where we kind of start out, and we can kind of, select the different units in the world. So it's just kind of like the general state. You can see that we're basically just doing kind of a basic kind of ray cast here. And then so when we want to actually select a unit here, it just calls this select unit function. So we will add a selected entity tag to the selected unit. So a tag, of course, is just an empty data component. And then we can go to the next system here, which is the unit selected state system. So this means we're kind of in the state where we have a unit selected. Now, you'll see that on here I have the require singleton for update selected entity tag, and also have the unit select state tag, which I do have in the initial system. I should have mentioned in the onCreate we have the require singleton for update. So basically what that means is the update function will only run if this singleton that has that specific tag in the world, if it exists, then it will only update. So that's basically kind of how I can kind of trigger which state is running, is by saying, if that singleton is present in the game, then it will run.
All right.
Yeah.
But one question in this
Please.
sense, if you don't mind, how can you make sure that you don't mess up the states as a developer? I mean, as a programmer, could you have eventually like overlapping states just because you forgot to add one of these requires?
Yes, good question. And so that was kind of like, I did get into that a little bit at the end when I was just kind of just implementing some more of these systems and not being like super careful about it. So that was kind of one of the things that was like, it was a little bit tricky to debug sometimes. You kind of get in some like weird states. So yeah, actually for this, I have intentionally have both these states active at the same time. And so the reason for that is, so basically if you already have a unit selected and then you click off of the unit or you click a different unit, then it will, deselect the currently selected unit.
Right.
And so yeah, that's kind of something that you do need to be careful with, is just like making sure that you're actually in the state that you intend to be in.
Yeah, because the worst case scenario is that you could be in multiple states, right? And maybe you realize too late that that is happening, right? Because maybe you have forgotten one of these requires, right? It could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
while you were doing object-oriented programming, in general, you only have one state active at a time, depending on how you program it, of course. But this is nice because it also gives you flexibility, right? To be running multiple states. If you are carefully, if you do this carefully, right, you could, unless you do overlapping behavior, that would be bad.
yeah, yeah,
Kind of reminds me of the animation part of Unity where you have like different layers, right? You have maybe one layer for the upper body and you also have one layer
yeah,
for the
yeah,
lower body that they can all run in parallel. But if you mess up, you could be running, I don't know, maybe it's the hand on the lower body layer. And you could create this kind of conflicts where you are updating the same thing twice. So yeah, I guess that depends on, being a bit careful with that. But I think it's cool.
yeah.
It is flexible.
Exactly. And I'll show you kind of how I was managing this a little bit. So I basically just kind of went on my whiteboard and just kind of was like mapping out like all the different kind of states in the game, and kind of what can go to where and what happens when the different actions happen and stuff like that. So
Nice.
yeah.
Did you? What's that on the bottom left? Is like a timer or a
Oh
temperature
yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
It's a little temperature monitor that I have in my room. Let's see. So yeah, then basically the next state is the unit selected state system. So this one, what happens is you can either press the number 1 key or the number 2 key. Pressing the number 1 key, that will basically change it to the set patrol area state, and that's kind of where that blue ring shows up, and you can kind of select where you want the little worker that you have selected to drop off the trash. So when that happens, we say the change to set patrol area state. All this does is this is going to remove the unit select state off the game controller. So that means we can no longer basically select another unit or deselect the currently selected unit. And then it will also add the set patrol area state tag. So this brings us into another state, which is the set patrol area state system. Now I wanted to bring this one up because this one's kind of cool, because what happens is, of course, this has these, require singletons for update. So it needs an entity with the selected entity tag, meaning that we have selected an entity, as well as the set patrol area state tag, meaning that we're basically can set the patrol area. You'll see that we have a decent amount of code inside the onStart running function. So basically every time we enter this system, all this code in the onStart running is going to begin. So this is kind of like, kind of some setup stuff for us for this particular state. So what this basically does is it instantiates into the world. You can see we do this entity manner.instantiate, and it actually spawns in that selection area. And then inside the update function, then that's basically where we, because we already have the selection area spawned in, we can kind of move it around the world based off of the mouse position. And then, basically kind of the contrast of that is in the onStop running, you'll see that we'll just go ahead and destroy that patrol area. So we can kind of have the like the setup phase with the onStart running, the update phase in the onUpdate, and then kind of the cleanup phase in the onStop running. So what do you think of that?
This is one of the bigger files, right, that you have with more
Let's see.
code.
Yeah, this
right?
one's about 130 lines. I think there's one other script. I don't know if I have. Yeah, I think this is one of the larger ones that I wrote. Yeah.
I think it's pretty readable, right? I think if you read through that like top down, right, from top to bottom.
Yeah. That's kind of one of the ways that I like to structure my code, is like similar to the life cycle of the system. So you'll see that I start with on create, then I go to on start running, then I have on update, then I kind of have like the helper functions. So like the actual set patrol area is what gets called after we, actually click to like finalize where we want the control area. We have the change state. So this changes basically once we click to select, then we'll go back into the state of just having the entity selected. And we can choose kind of some operations from there. I have a little raycast helper function, and then I end with the on stop running here.
Pretty much understandable.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this clip that I took from my interview that I did with my friend Ruben, the game dev guru. Again, you can go ahead and check out the full interview that I did with him using the link down in the description below. It's about an hour and a half long, and we kind of go over some interesting topics, such as using dots to develop on Chromebooks, VR devices, and then really just talking about dots and data-oriented design in general. So I think it's a good talk, and if you have a little bit of extra time during this holiday season to check it out, I definitely say it's worth the watch. But anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, fantastic holiday season, and I'll see you in the new year.